Yo guys, today we're going to check cut content of episode 1, Lord of the Mysteries. So let's see what did we miss out of Lord of the Mysteries and hope that what you call like AniNews, I hope they address about the translation error and everything like with the like with the spectator thing, like spectator audience and what's the other one? I think it's the chant. I think the chant is wrong, I think.
That the Donghua can't possibly cover all of it. Like, if there was ever a series that needed to cut content to go along with it, Lord of Mysteries would definitely be it. That's not because it's impossible to watch without, it's just there's so much lore that the Donghua can't possibly cover all of it. Like, whether it be Beyonders and Pathways, the mysterious kingdom Klein now finds himself in, the churches and cults, or the history behind all of it, every aspect is fleshed out in rich and overwhelming detail. Now, I know a lot of you might be confused with what you watched from episode 1, but I promise that sense of bewilderment is all part of it. Just like how Klein is unsure of where he is, how he got here, and
I gotta agree, like, it's, like, I don't understand why people is lost in watching in episode 1. It's either they think that they don't know what is going on, and if that's the case, it's supposed to be that way. Like, I feel like this episode 1 is very good. In my opinion, it's not fast. Like, I able to understand everything. You guys need just to pause instead of just watching it. Like, if you just watch it, of course you're not going to grasp everything. Like, yeah.
and what's going on around him, we too are thrust into this world with no information whatsoever. Yes, the pacing is undoubtedly fast, but I think this video can really help to alleviate that.
So
if you're looking to better understand Lord of Mysteries and see how episode 1 compares to the novel, stick around as this will cover all of that.
Okay.
But first, if you're looking for a new RPG with amazing graphics, a unique style to combat, and the best turn-based gameplay I've played on PC and mobile, allow me to introduce today's sponsor, Girls Frontline 2 Exilium. This is a brand new 3D strategy game for mobile and PC, and right now you can get 40 free banner pulls plus the Elite Doll Fae just by completing in-game tasks and sign-in events. If you're wondering how this game looks so good, it's because it combines that non-photo. Just click the link in the description and download the game today. Alright, Episode 1, The Fool, covering chapters 1 to 14 from the web novel.
What? What the 14? That's a lot! What?
Where the anime starts with a very brief description of Beyonders and Pathways, the novel begins immediately with Klein's transmigration, a concept most of you might be more familiar with as getting isekai'd. His awakening was met with quite a bit of confusion since paralysis, pain, and headaches overwhelmed his entire body.
Because of...
He hadn't yet realized he wasn't Chou Ming Shui anymore, so the main source of his panic was thinking he might not be able to show up to work tomorrow. It was once his body finally allowed himself to move.
That's what he thinks about when he has a headache or what? Worried that he cannot go to work tomorrow? Does bro loves his work or bro is just brainwashed to work?
Again, that Klein would take in his surroundings than himself. Immediately he knew this was a transmigration he'd read about in so many novels before, so while younger him might have been overjoyed to be in a situation he'd always fantasized about, the current him just found it troublesome. Eventually, his panic would subside, and it was soon after that memories of the original Klein would start appearing to him. He would learn all the general info we saw in the anime, plus
citizen of the notice. Okay, this is the kingdom's name. Awa County is the place that he is in. City of Tianjin. Hoi University is the university he recently graduated.
A bit of extra details regarding his family.
This is all I know.
So, his father was a sergeant who'd sacrificed himself during a conflict with the southern continent, a loss which would provide the compensation enabling him to attend private language school. This in turn laid the foundation allowing him to get into university, a period of time where his mother would pass away as well. That being the case, all Klein has left is his elder brother, a younger sister, and the 2-bedroom apartment they stay in.
The younger sister looks so beautiful, but I heard that he is not in a university. He is in a some sort of school. Actually.
Means wealthy at all, but they are supported by their elder brother and his income at an import and export company. Now, as a history graduate himself, Klein has a solid knowledge of the origin
Phase, the ancient language theme, the origin of all language in the northern continent.
for all languages in the northern continent, as well as the more rare Hermes language more commonly used in ancient texts.
So the history thing is not in his past life, but in Klein's body. He study history. Okay.
And praying rituals. This is the language the mysterious notebook was written in, but rather than have numerous bits be translated like Black Emperor or the Tudor Kingdom, the only line Klein read was the final one. As shocking of a statement as it was, Klein's attention couldn't help but shift towards the revolver. Reason being that if his family was as poor as it was, then how was it that they could afford this weapon? Even the gas lamp was something.
That's actually kind of true. Like, where did was bro in a cult or something? Where did he get the gun?
Far out of their budget, but that was a gift his older brother Benson saved up for. You see, because Klein's success would affect their family's future, since a lamp was as it was, then how was it that they could afford this weapon? Even the gas lamp was something far out of their budget, but that was a gift his older brother Benson saved up for.
Damn,
You see, because Klein's success would affect their family's future as a whole, Benson had used his own savings in order to ensure Klein had the best conditions to study in. It was a negotiation with the landlord that resulted in this. This, however, was a gas meter, and it required one single coin to operate. A copper penny typically used as the basic currency for the Lone Kingdom. Klein would then see it was still the dead of night, so that's when he figured he should clean up his room before his sister woke up. It was a routine trip to the bathroom, triggering another one of his memory fragments. This time it was about his landlord, Mr. Frankie, and all the times he would inspect the bathroom to make sure no one was wasting anything. That's not really that important, but what is are the occasional memory fragments, as well as the fact Klein got a washcloth then cleaned all the bloodstains from his former self's suicide attempt. He would then empty out the revolver, take in once again the ominous line he read, then go over all the questions currently plaguing him. So it's pretty clear that Klein is rather insightful. He takes his time to let things sink in, then thinks about them carefully before coming to any conclusions. Most of his questions weren't any he knew he needed to concern himself with just yet, as the true problem now was figuring out why he was isekai'd and how he could return. There were too many things back at his old life that he didn't want to leave behind. This triggered the last memory he had before he got here, and that was his attempt at Chinese divination. You see, as someone who was terminally online, Cho had purchased a book on the arcane thinking it would help him improve his posturing on the internet. It really didn't help at all, so for a while he just left the book tucked away in a corner. It was when a spree of bad luck started plaguing him for about a month that Cho would put his divination knowledge to use.
Where can I watch this actually?
He would go and attempt what's known as the luck enhancement ritual.
This is showing how when he did.
Steps were exactly as we saw in the anime, plus a chant a bit more complex.
Blessings stem from the immortal Lord of Heaven and Earth, blessing for the Sky Lord of Heaven and Earth, blessings stem from the exalted Tiara of Heaven and Earth, and blessings celestial from the celestial worthy of Heaven and Earth. I heard that this thing is going to be important in the story, so I should remember. The Immortal Lord, okay. The Sky Lord, okay. The Exalted, I don't know how to say that. TH, and the Celestial Worthy. So these four names I should actually try to remember. Immortal Lord, Sky Lord, Exalted, and Celestial Worthy.
Klein had actually said the accurate version in this scene here, but for some reason it just wasn't translated properly. In any case, it was once the 4 steps were taken and the chants spoken that 5 minutes was all it took for the luck enhancement to take effect. Well, nothing happened after 5 minutes for him, but his transmigration did occur that exact same night. Considering that's more than just an unlikely coincidence, Klein decided he would try the luck enhancement ritual again. Thus why we see him buying all the bread the day after. It was for the time being, though, that Cho would attempt to discover more about himself. Since Klein's memories were partially available to him, he could sit down and recall whatever fragments were there. The thing is, a lot of the more pertinent things weren't. His memories were like shattered glass, missing pieces all throughout. He couldn't remember how he'd attained the revolver, whether he'd been killed or killed himself, or even the meaning behind any of the words in the notebook. He also couldn't remember much about his university life, but what he did know was that he had an interview with another university's history department.
Okay.
Since he'd just graduated from the Koi University, his mentor had given him a recommendation letter for 2 other ones, one of which he would be interviewing at for a lecture position in just 2 days.
Oh.
It was a position that, if offered, would boost his family's socioeconomic status way higher.
Okay.
Compared to his brother's salary of just over £1 a week, the lecturer's position gave almost quadruple. So
what the
this was
fuck?
an opportunity that could change all their lives for the better. Now, Melissa's entrance after would also carry quite a bit of information too, since it's here we learn of the ties between Lowen's education department and religion. In the past, Sunday school was offered by various churches, but in an attempt to mitigate conflict and maintain religious neutrality, the kingdom enacted a basic education law. Rather than have the Lord of Storms, the Evernight Goddess, and the God of Steam and Machinery all compete, the kingdom instead established public schools. I don't expect those titles to have any meaning to you right now, but it does introduce the idea of multiple churches and their influence over society. In any case, Melissa herself aspires to be a steam mechanic, a passion also supported by her older brother Benson.
Steam mechanic.
With the tuition that was more on the costly side, Benson would have to work overtime and take jobs that were a bit more dangerous. It's for that
MVP,
reason we
damn.
don't really see him, since
he's
work
really
has kept him
working
more or
hard.
less preoccupied. For those wondering why Klein doesn't help out too, well, as a commoner very far behind in the university curriculum, it takes all his time just to keep up with it. Like where all the other students learned the origin language young, Klein's first contact with it was here. That being the case, studying was pretty much all Klein did. Now, what Klein picked up here was the most valuable item his father left behind, but due to its secondhand nature, it would often malfunction. Melissa, being the aspiring mechanic she was, often needed to fix it herself. It's a feat we see her do
So that's a hint that she's good with mechanic things. Okay.
once again here. She would then leave to attend her classes, a walk which normally took about 50 minutes. There was the option to always take a horse carriage, but due to its costs, she decided against it. A quick bit of lore included shortly after this is that days and years function pretty much the same here.
Okay.
The reason days are split the way they are here, though, is directly due to the influence of religion. You see, there were 7 Orthodox gods carrying influence over the northern continent,
know this one.
each of which I assume get a day of their own. Next came an explanation to the Lowen
I
Kingdom's
see.
currency system, but due to its confusing nature and grossly uneven denominations, I'll give it some time to see if knowing about it is actually worth it.
Okay.
For now, all you gotta know is that Klein and his family are broke. Klein also has an unnatural passion towards money, so the man spent a whole minute admiring it before finally setting out to spend it. Now, at first he was hesitant to bring the revolver too, but
Bro, Klein's original memories and personality is really affecting Zomirai. I don't know how to say his past name, but damn, he's really slowly become the true Klein and actually mesmerized in money.
considering it was the only defensive weapon he had, Klein figured he could at least use it to intimidate someone. Why would he need to do that? Well, his neighborhood was by no means classy. The streets were filthy and the poor and starving were everywhere, so the odds of there being thieves were actually quite high. Even more so with all the children getting exploited to become them. It was after Klein had purchased the bread that a trailing figure wouldn't be what sent him into the Tarot tent. In the novel, he would just stumble upon it by chance, then decide to take part since the origin of Tarot here was different than how it was on Earth.
It's different.
You see,
okay?
not only did Roselle create that, along with all the other inventions Klein mentioned, he also invaded nations, brought others under his protection, and made them all bow down to his own empire.
Damn,
It was from this
what
the
an
Church of
amazing
Craftsmanship would receive its first public holy revelation, changing the god of craftsmanship to the god of steam and machinery.
He's the one changing
Again,
it.
I wouldn't get too caught up on what any of that means, but would instead just focus on the fact Roselle was the one who caused it. He also created a fleet that discovered a route to the southern continent, leading to the beginning of an era of colonialism. The year 1198 was when he was
started
finally
it?
betrayed. Assassinated by a combination of forces, 1198 was when he was finally betrayed.
Oh, he got
Assassinated
betrayed.
by a combination of forces from a rebelling church and the former royal family known as the Sauron family.
Sauron family.
Such was the knowledge Klein flooded himself with, leading to his interest in the tarot cards. He was also intrigued by the lady herself, curious to see if she could divine that he was a transmigrator. The ritual itself was pretty much the same, but the number of the Fool card is actually supposed to be 0.
Oh.
To Klein, he assumed this symbolized a fresh beginning and new possibilities, but that was based off a very basic understanding of tarot. It was before he could find out what it really meant, though, that the real fortune teller would interrupt and stop them. Klein would then leave since the ritual was no longer free, purchase the rest
No
of
longer
food,
free,
then
oh.
head back home to complete his own ritual. He decided he would do it first in his own language, then should that fail, proceed to do it in the languages native to this world. So, with a whisper, a chant, another whisper, and a meditation, Klein would complete the 4 steps of the luck ritual, then quickly be overwhelmed by the sounds of whispers. He could neither understand nor distinguish what any of the voices were saying, but what he did know was that the pain of experiencing it was unbearable.
Okay.
It was once that pain finally subsided that Klein would find himself surrounded by fog.
Grey
It
fog.
was an endless
I think
grey
it's
fog
called-
dotted with countless crimson stars floating in the distance.
So that's
2 of these stars he accidentally touched, leading them to burst open and empty both his mind and spirit. On the other side would be Audrey trying to awaken this royal heirloom, while Alger would be in the Sonia Sea holding a relic of his own. Both items would envelop their holders with a crimson light, sending them to the same grey fog where Klein was at.
Crimson
Envelop
light?
their Alger would be in the Sonia Sea holding a relic of his own.
We didn't see crimson
Both
light
items
here,
would
though.
envelop their holders with a crimson light, sending them to the same grey fog where Klein was at. This much we already saw, but what we didn't see was Klein's deliberation between his 2 options here. He could either
yeah.
feign victimhood, hide his identity and gain their trust, or maintain his mysterious persona and probe for valuable information.
I wonder why he
There was
decided
little
to do
time
this.
to actually make this decision, so Klein decided he would exploit the psychological state of those thrown into such a situation and use that to gain the greatest advantage for himself.
Bro is very big. Mean, I don't know how to say the word, but bro is really taking advantage of everything just to get all the knowledge he needed.
He couldn't quite make out who exactly he was talking to, but he figured the stronger he got and the more he understood what this domain of his was, eventually he might be able to see through the fog. For now, the roles were made absolutely clear. Here they were the visitors and he the master. To Klein, their image was nothing more than a projection from the stars he had touched, creating what he could only assume was an intangible connection only he himself could grasp. That's why he made it clear they could leave whenever they wanted, since with him being the one in control, he wanted to show he carried no ill intent towards them. This made things a bit more comfortable for Audrey, allowing her to open up and ask her question of how to become a Beyonder. A Beyonder wasn't someone the average person would probably ever meet, but they did exist, whether in courts, tribunals, execution agencies, or other organizations. They were still fighting like how Alger said. It's just there's a lot less of them compared to the number that existed during the early years of the Iron Age. A lengthy period of time dictating the current and ongoing era of the 5th epoch. So, if Audrey wanted to become a Beyonder in this day and age, then all she needed to do was join a church. That was the first step towards doing so. This typically involved losing her freedom though, so the only other option was to seek out royal families or nobles with a history branching 1,000 years into the past. That or seek out some of the more evil organizations hidden in the shadows. None of these were to Audrey's liking, so her inquiry into other options would lead Alger to reveal his own solution. The 2 Sequence 9 potions he himself possessed. These potions were the only way people could become Beyonders, and the name of said potion usually coincided with their core characteristics. That being the case, for the first potion known as the Sailor, this enabled one to have incredible balance, granted immense strength and illusory scales under the skin.
Sailor does fits the guy actually.
Increased proficiency at swimming, then greatly enhanced one's mobility underwater. So, for the person who ingested it, they could easily swim like a fish without equipment and just as easily last underwater for at least 10 minutes. Such were the powers that came with the Sequence 9 potion Sailor. Spectator granted an exceptionally sharp mind and observational
making. I'm all for it, making fun of Crunchyroll.
abilities, so the digestion of this would allow its user to easily read people. Whether it's through their emotions or conduct, a person's real thoughts would always be on display for them. The key warning with a potion like this, though, is that once a spectator, you can only ever be a spectator. They were words that didn't really go to sway Audrey, though, so without hesitation, she would express her interest in the spectator potion.
Oh,
The deal was that in exchange for 100 milliliters of ghost shark blood, Alger would then give Audrey the formula for it. Neither had any concerns the other wouldn't follow through, since, under the eyes of the fool, they felt assured. Alger would then give her the location to which she needed to send the shark's blood to,
Okay.
after which he would dictate the formula's potion to her here. Now, Alger was rather
damn. So they trust each other because the fool. They are scared of the fool.
ingenious with the way he approached all this, since the offering of his services wasn't just for show. No, since these gatherings were something he was pulled into without consent, if more were to happen and he couldn't refuse, then the best thing to do was reap as many benefits as he could. He'd already secured a resource that was rather difficult to obtain, and that to him was just the beginning. So, with their combined backgrounds, resources, and information networks, Alger believed he could get quite a great deal from these gatherings. Klein had no problem accepting these gatherings either, since already they've shed quite a bit of light on Beyonders and other secrets. So, if he was truly dedicated to figuring out how to get back home, getting as much information as possible was always a positive.
I wonder how he's going to it's obviously that he's going to add more members in the tarot club until all tarots are filled, all tarot cards name are filled. So I wonder how he's going to add more.
Even if it did put his own secrets at risk. Now, with this gathering coming to a close, the founding of the Tarot Club would lead to insight on the tarot cards themselves. Just like in our own world, tarot cards here didn't come equipped with the power to divine the future.
Oh.
No, the divinity of such things came from the person themselves. Everyone has something spiritual, allowing them to attune themselves to the spiritual world, and it's the tarot cards that help people interpret the signs they receive from it.
Okay.
Most of those signs will go unnoticed, but for those that aren't, it's divination tools like tarot cards that will help you understand them.
Oh.
The cards
so,
Roselle made are a whole separate
so the card is very useful then.
thing,
Oh,
each representing
wait,
an
what?
unknown power, and one of
The cards that Roselle made is different?
the cards Roselle made are a whole separate thing,
What?
each representing an unknown power and one of the 22 paths to the divine.
Oh, what? That's the tarot cards that he created? What?
There was mention of it originating from what's called a blasphemy slate, but these are all concepts we'll learn more about in the future. For now, this would be it for the gathering, and Klein would
And this just makes me more confused now.
chalk up his experience as an incredible convenience. With its ability to communicate with others wherever and whenever, Klein would describe the Grey Fog as something akin to a social networking platform.
Oh, damn.
As for the guests Klein just hosted, they actually got a whole chapter depicting things from their end. It's some side character development that could still come in the future, so that's something that we'll leave for later.
I
I
hope
think
so.
this is a pretty good place to stop, so I'll be sure to continue the series with the rest of episode 1 next week. If you liked learning
So it's not all episode 1 he's going to cover here. My. So episode 1 has 2 parts, and now third episode is already comes out. Already came out. So damn, I feel like AniNews is going to have a hard time to what you call make cut content for this quickly, in my opinion. But I feel like the cut content here probably is a lot, and I don't know if he just watches the anime and then read it, and if that is the case, then oh my god, 14 chapters I think we said, like what? That's 14 chapters. That's a lot. I had to read, like what? Like this is going to anime is going to take a lot of time to make content for this anime, and then not only that, he needs to read it, and he also needs to compile all the information. Why is that it got cut, and why is actually he could include, so that it feels important. But damn, what amazing content. What I already know that the tarot card is very important. Like I thought it's just a title that what you call client just took it by inspiration, but isn't that there's more to it. So yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, please share the play to see more content, and yeah, peace out.